Hey everyone, my name is Amber and I'm an addict. Hey Amber. Oh wow, it is really cool to be here. This is my first time at this meeting in Bolingbrook, and I heard about cows. I was just like, this is a really cool area, and just also really just overwhelmed with gratitude to be here. With my sponsee and then also a grand sponsee celebrating 60 days, and everyone's celebrating so much clean time and welcome to your first meeting. It's really cool when you see that energy and see that the program is working, and it's really great. I have 7 years, 5 months, and 2 weeks. So yeah, you guys don't have to clap to that about that. I forget we're addicts when you say don't do something, we're gonna do it. It's been a really, really cool journey, and something that has been obviously just the most rewarding thing that has ever happened in my life. I remember when I first got clean, I was just miserable, obviously using, it was fun at one point, and then it just stopped being fun. I was someone who was always trying to manipulate someone just to get whatever I wanted. I felt oh, okay, well, I can manipulate and talk my way into things. And I realized once I got clean, I couldn't manipulate my way through the program, and I didn't like that. And I had to be very honest with myself, honest with others, and I was this isn't that cool. But the first couple of months when I got clean, I was all right, this is cool. And I thought that it was about how long I stayed abstinent. So I had about 5 months clean, and I ended up relapsing. And when I relapsed, it was just kind of I went back to exactly where I was. So before, when I was using, I was suicidal. I was in Atlanta at the time. I was in school. I wasn't going to classes. I wasn't showing up for anyone, myself at all. And when I had 5 months, I said, okay, I have 5 months and I can use again. I went right back to that same place. I was suicidal. I was getting kicked out of school because I wasn't showing up to classes. And I almost, I was roommates with my best friend, and I almost got her evicted because I was using all of my rent money to, pay for drugs. So I was in this really, really terrible spot, and I ended up moving back to Chicago. And I, once I came back to Chicago, I started getting into the program, and I was really, really desperate to get into the program this time, because I was I have to change my life. And it's really funny that Sarah described me as someone who is free. That was I did not feel that way when I first got clean. I felt there was absolutely no hope for me, and that was one of the reasons why I came into the rooms and why I stayed in the rooms, is because I would come to meetings like this and everyone was just so happy and just talked about how grateful they were, and how they were miserable at one point, but now they're okay, or if something really bad happened, they didn't use, and they still showed up and talked about it. And I had people in my life who still showed up for me even when it seemed like they didn't even want to show up. And I wanted that. I really, really wanted something like that, but that wasn't who I was when I first got clean. I was someone who was just very scared, and I would describe it as just a prison that I put myself in, just this, and I felt I just could not get out of it at all. But luckily, I got a sponsor at that time, and this sponsor, it's actually funny. I've had a kind of a crazy kind of sponsor relationship. I've had a bunch of different sponsors for various reasons. And my second time in the program, I had sponsors that one actually passed away, which was really sad. And I also had a sponsor who we just didn't vibe at all. And so I decided to interview women and sit down with them and see how they work the steps and see how often they were going to meetings and see and talk to them, because what I learned is that a lot of times people say really cool things in the rooms and they don't really live it sometimes. And I wanted someone who was actually living a program and was working some steps and wanted to work the steps with me. And so I interviewed a bunch of women, and I had this idea of who I wanted and what she was supposed to look like. And the person that I chose was the exact opposite. I wanted someone who was a guru in my eyes, 20 plus years, knew the basic text front to back. And this person had about, at the time, maybe 6 to 8 months more than I did. But one thing that I really wanted was I wanted a relationship. When I first got into the rooms, every single relationship that I had, whether it was a friendship, whether it was a romantic relationship, it was short-lived. Either I was always running away from intimacy. I was always running away from being vulnerable and being able to just be honest with another person. And so I really wanted to have a long-standing relationship with that person. My sponsor now, she's been my sponsor for 6 years now. So we do have that relationship that I really wanted. But so that sponsor took me through the steps, and the steps have been the way to kind of get me outside of this prison. I remember the first 3 steps were really life-changing for me. First step was, I realized that I was an addict. And that was, in a way, it was hard for me because I was well, I'm only 21 and I don't know, is this going to be for the rest of my life? And at first I was just this is going to be really hard. And what I learned was that, did I want to go back to that suicidal, that depressed, that terrible space? And I was no, I don't want to do that. And I know that if I continue to use, that the likelihood is I'm going to die. The jails, institutions, and death, that's a really real thing for me. And it's very scary. And I was I don't want to do that. So the first step, I realized I am an addict, and my life has become unmanageable. And that was the first time that I realized I had a choice, with all of my feelings too. Even if I felt I wanted to use, I didn't have to act on that. And the first step really taught me that I have a choice today. And it's the step that I work repeatedly every single day, that I have to work every single day. And the second and third step, that those 2 steps kind of go hand in hand for me. The second step is hope. It's to just believe that, I can have a different life. And like I said, the rooms was basically that higher power to kind of help me understand that I can live differently and there is hope for me, and which was something that I just really didn't have in myself at first. And so I kind of think of the second step, if anyone plays double dutch or anything or knows that reference, is the second step is when you're just kind of about to jump in, that was the second step for me. And then that third step is when I'm actually jumping in and I'm actually just doing the next right thing and I'm taking the next step. And for me, when I first got clean, it was I was very religious, and at this point in time in my life, I'm not religious at all. And I think it's kind of cool that the more spiritual that I've become, the less religious I have been. And the third step so I didn't have like this idea of like this religious like higher power, but it was more so just like doing the next right thing and not trying to like manipulate the results, you know. That was the third step for me, and so that gave me a lot of faith. And so the first 3 steps was just kind of like that platform for 4, 5, and 6. And the 4th step was something that wasn't like, everyone was like scared about the 4th step, and 4th step wasn't like that hard for me. It was definitely difficult, but I looked at it more like, you know, like a diary type of thing. Like I was like, okay, this is all the stuff that I've done, you know. And I realized that I was really angry. I actually saw someone from the meeting that I haven't seen in a very, very long time. And he reminded me of a story where I was at a 7-Eleven, and the convenience store manager made me so angry that I knocked over a shelf of Coca-Colas, like 2-liter Coca-Colas, because I was mad that he wasn't doing what I wanted when I wanted. And I was clean during that time, and I was really, really angry. And it was so funny, like the 4th step, I didn't realize I was even that angry until I wrote out my resentments. And some of my resentments, I didn't even know the person that was on. It would be like dude in the black shirt, you know, like, or convenience store manager. Like, it was just really random. And like the 4th step just kind of showed me like my patterns, and like why it helped me understand why I do the things that I do, and why I act out, and why I want to act out. You know, one of the reasons why I was acting out, we'll use the convenience store, was again like I wasn't getting what I wanted when I wanted, and it was just like an adult tantrum. And I've learned that like when I don't get what I want, to understand that that's obviously, I can't do that all the time, but also to like use some spiritual principles in there, like using some faith and using some patience, and just being not as angry as I was before. But I had no clue I was like an angry person until my 4th step. And my 5th step was when I really felt like my relationship with my sponsor, it just really, really got better. The 5th step was when I realized like I'm not as bad as I think I am, because another person can relate to like everything that I've been going through. And so I really love the 5th step. It's such a great step. It's such a freeing step too, because it's like, okay, like I've done all this stuff, and like I don't have to sit with that, you know, like I can just tell it to another person, which was great. And then the 6th step, that was the hardest step that I've ever done. The 6th step was very tough for me. The 6th step for me was a way, like I felt like my defects were a security blanket, and I felt like you guys were trying to take that away from me. And I was like, again, like I'm like a child sometimes, and so I'm like, no, don't take this away from me. I need these defects to like still be the same person. And it was really, really tough to let all of those things go, because like I wanted to continue doing the same things like over and over again. And I wanted to continue to stay in that fear that I had. And I wanted to continue to be angry at people. And I wanted to continue to like be selfish. And I didn't know how to like stop that. And I thought like, I'm never going to be perfect, so why am I even doing this step? This is dumb. But it wasn't dumb. And the 7th step really helped me like understand that like I'm never going to be perfect, but I don't have to act out on these defects that I have. And that was again a really freeing moment for me. And like the 8th and 9th was just like making amends to people, and more so making amends to myself. Like that was one of the biggest things with the amends process. Like I did some really tough amends. Like my family amends I thought were going to be the hardest. That was actually probably some of the easier amends that I've had to do. I made amends with someone and they were just like, I don't like you and I don't think we're going to be friends ever again. And I had to accept that. And I had to be like, okay. But what I had to remember was that I was keeping my side of the street clean. I made the amends, and like, I can't manipulate her and be like, no, be my friend, I'm changed, like, see the change. And I just had to be like, okay, I respect that decision, and then, continue to move on and be a better friend to other people. And so I had some really, difficult amends process, but I'm still working on the amends to myself. And like, just going back to like this like prison metaphor, like I just did not want to always feel like I couldn't get out. Like I just like wanted to feel free. And I wanted to stop being so hard on myself. I was someone who, like, even clean, like, just really, like, I still really, like, hated myself. I was still very ashamed of myself. I was still very, like, angry that, like, I was angry that I had messed up some of my life as, like, an addict, and, like, I was angry that I wasn't where I thought I should be at this age. And but now I'm learning that, like, I'm accepting myself, and, like, I'm doing things for myself that are beneficial, and I'm taking the time out for myself, which I wasn't doing before. And just to give you guys some background, I know I'm kind of like all over the place, but just to give you guys some, like, background, like, when I first got clean, like, I had gotten kicked out of school, and then, like, I went back to that school. I graduated, and I was, like, in a career that, like, was cool, and I thought because, like, I had such a cool job that made me cool, and that I put so much of my worth, like, into that job. And in November, I ended up getting fired from that job, and it just wrecked my entire world. And I came to a meeting and I cried about it, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I stayed clean through that process, but through that process I realized that, like, I was doing the exact same thing that I was doing with drugs with this job, and I was trying to use an external factor to try to, like, make my insides, like, feel better. Like, because I wasn't feeling good about myself, because I was so insecure, I was like, well, at least I have this job to, like, show people that, like, I'm okay, And this job also, during the time, like, I was working like 65 to 70 hours a week, and so meeting attendance was just, like, going at the back burner. Just like the Just for Today said, it was like I was trying to, like, fit meetings into my schedule instead of, like, making meetings a priority. And getting fired was a huge learning lesson, but it was probably one of the best things for my recovery. And it was because, like, I learned that, like, I can't use drugs. I can't use this job. I can't use a boyfriend. I can't use my friends. I can't use my sponsor. I can't use anything to, like, make me feel okay. Like, my recovery and myself, that's the most important thing today. Like, I have to take care of myself. I have to do certain things. So, like, working the steps have obviously got me to this place, but, like, also, like, how am I working these steps every single day? Like, what am I doing to, like, make, like, for myself to make me feel complete and whole, and not using, like, these external factors. So it's really cool. Like, I ask my sponsee, like, every single day, like, what did you do for yourself today? But, like, sometimes it's not even, like, about her. It's, like, about me. It reminds me, like, what did I do for myself today? Did I, like, take a walk? Did I talk to somebody about my feelings? Did I, like, journal or do something creative for myself? Like, those little things are the things that make me whole. showing up for meetings, sharing my story, and also showing up when I don't want to. You guys, like, sometimes, like, I really, like, if I had my choice, like, I probably wouldn't do a lot of things. And, like, I definitely know I wouldn't pay bills. And, you know, like, I am now, like, a responsible, like, adult, and it's so weird. And it's also really weird for people to, like, describe me as someone who's, like free, because, like, that was something I never felt. And I really think that was, like, this program. I know it was this program. I know it was you guys. Like, it's kind of cool just seeing, like, there's so many people here, and, like, I don't really know any of you, but, like, I feel this warmth, and I know you guys, like, are my family, and I know that maybe we don't have, like, the same story, but we've walked similar paths, and we're all just, like, trying to just, like, stay clean and recover and doing the best that we can every single day. And, like, that is just, like, a really cool thing. And, like, we all took the time today just to, like, do something for ourselves, and, like, we should, like, pat ourselves on the back for that. I'm really grateful. Like I said, I know I'm, like, all over the place, because, like, 7.5 years, like, you're just, like, a lot of things happen, you know, like, there have been things that I never thought would happen to me, good and bad. Like, me going back to school, graduating from school, was something that I didn't think could happen. Me getting a job in my career, did not think that could happen. Getting fired, did not think that could happen. I also have a new job, and I'm moving to Atlanta, like, in a month. So that's really cool. And I'm taking, like, a really big risk, because, like, I'm taking this job in Atlanta to, like, save up money to move to New York, which is weird, and nobody gets it, and it doesn't make sense, but it's, like, it's something that, like, I really feel like I need to do. And I've also, like, and I share this too, like, I've also been, like, sexually assaulted in the program, and, like, I have experienced some deaths in the program that I never, like, a sponsor died, and, like, these are things that, like, I didn't think that I could stay clean through, and I did, and I'm still here, and I will continue to be here. And I know that, like, if I continue to, like, work these steps and continue to show up, like, I literally don't have to use, because I know that if I use today, like, my life will go back to where I was 7.5 years ago. And I don't want it to go that way, because I've learned so much about myself. I'm so proud of myself. That's a really cool thing too. Like, I didn't think I could be like proud of who I am. And I know that, like, I make mistakes, but I'm not so hard on myself today. Like, I'm a human being. I don't have to be perfect. And that's about it. I think that's like about it. I think that's all I have. I'm just really grateful to be here, and congratulations again to everyone who's celebrating. Like, if I could do it, you guys can stay. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And don't get me wrong, like, this is hard. This isn't something that's, like, you snap your fingers and, like, it's easy. Like, life is better. Like, it actually is harder, because, like, all these emotions are coming at you, and, like, you're not using drugs to, like, cover them up. So, like, but I've learned how to deal with my emotions and how to deal with life every single day. I've done it clean, and I know that, like, I have help today, and I have tools. I have the steps. I have sponsors. I have sponsees, and, like, I have a network, and that's really, really important to me. So I will stop talking, and I'll keep coming back. Thanks.